Wow, very difficult time. So you know what, to help explain the economic hit that these delays have had, let's also bring in Daniel Safayeni. He's the Vice President of the Policy at Ontario Chamber of Commerce and Chair of Ontario's Cannabis Policy Council. Welcome, Daniel. Thank you so much for joining us. I guess, first of all, can you help explain how retailers and cannabis producers have been impacted by all of these delays?
Yeah, basically, Ontario's model right now for cannabis wholesale and distribution is, as David helpfully outlined just now, is reliant on one single government-run entity. So this Ontario Cannabis Store acts as the only bridge between those who produce cannabis, the legal retailers of cannabis, and by extension, the consumers who purchase cannabis at the end of the day. And so when that bridge breaks, the entire supply chain breaks down. And so what we are seeing today is the ramifications of this broken bridge hampering the entire province's ability to purchase and distribute cannabis throughout the province. And that's manifested in an issue for retailers, for producers, for consumers, and as Dave said as well, a public health issue, because now folks who are looking to purchase the products, they can't find it at legal retailers on their shelves, so they're going to turn to alternative means. And the legal industry has done a lot to try to stamp out the illegal operators, and we risk reversing that progress.
Daniel, I'm going to jump in here with a question as well. Exactly what kind of policy reforms are you seeking here in Ontario?
Look, it's actually quite simple. We need to have an honest conversation in the province about what the role and the mandate of the Ontario Cannabis Store should be. That's not to suggest that there isn't a valuable role for them to play, perhaps in distributing to underserved markets when it comes to education and awareness. These are key aspects of the mandate. But at the very least, what the Chamber and the Ontario Cannabis Policy Council has called on since the onset of legalization has been, by the way, let licensed producers and legal retailers have a direct commercial relationship with one another, enable them to negotiate their own product mixes, their own prices, and their own delivery terms. That, in and of itself, could mitigate the risks inherent to the current situation, to the current system, rather, which is manifested in the current situation we are seeing today.
Daniel, you did talk a little bit about some of the safety concerns with this. Can you further explain just how exactly public safety is at risk if we see these sorts of delays in shipping legal cannabis and that continuing?
Yeah, I mean, the industry has worked tirelessly hard to try to compete against illegal actors, and now they have a issue through no fault of their own. They don't have the products they need to sell, and consumers are coming to the store expecting to buy what they've previously purchased or what they're looking for, and it's not available, and so they're going to turn to other means to do that, and that typically comes in the form of illegal cannabis, which is unregulated, untested, and therefore, by extension, is a public health and safety issue. So that's absolutely another concern of ours, and underscores the need for private sector involvement to diversify our supply chain and not be reliant on one single entity. And it is worth noting here, just because I know our time is limited, but the Auditor General released a report in December outlining some 16 recommendations and pointing exactly to vulnerabilities in the data governance model, in the OCS's oversight of its third-party distributor domain logistics. So these issues that have manifested in the current problem were well known, were well documented, and the OCS, in fact, even acknowledged that these were reforms that they needed to make back in December. However, no progress or transparency on progress has been made, and we find ourselves in the current situation we do today, but it is in fact avoidable.
Daniel, I should know that I've reached out to the Ontario Cannabis Store for comment on the cyber attack, and as well as your statement that you released earlier through the Chamber, and they've yet to get back to us. But there's been a lot of discussion since Ontario actually began handling cannabis operations back in 2018 in terms of shifting responsibility from distribution from the public sector to the private sector. Is that a solution that you support? If not, why?
Yeah, absolutely. We think there's a role for the private sector, and that goes back to my point about allowing for a direct commercial relationship. The direct commercial relationship could absolutely take the form of private sector playing a role in the delivery of cannabis here in Ontario. And so that absolutely does need to be part of the solution. And it's worth noting that this wouldn't be our uncharted territory. There are other provinces that have chosen other models for wholesale distribution of cannabis in their own provinces, and we know that there are actually more efficient and effective ways for this to be out of the government's hands, or at least also in the private sector's hands, competing alongside government and any other private sector firm that wants to help out in the delivery and logistical arrangements of the sector.
I just have one more question, Daniel. If you have a bunch of producers that are shipping straight to retailers, does it not make it more complicated as opposed to having a central hub where everything can be monitored and maintained?
Well, look, there are certainly some efficiencies to be gained from a central hub doing so, but we are also seeing the vulnerabilities associated with that. And Tara, it's a good question, but what it doesn't account for is the transparency around the pricing models and the cost of the Ontario Cannabis Store operating as the wholesale purchaser and distributor of the product in the province. In fact, one of the major complaints of the industry, and another thing that the Auditor General's report flagged, was transparency around product listing, around the pricing, around the margins that the OCS takes. So, right now what we have is actually a fairly bloated and inefficient system. And we know there's private sector players out there that can do this more efficiently, more cheaply. We've put those proposals in front of government outlining exactly, in fact, how this could work in a more streamlined and efficient way since the beginning of legalization. And so we're hoping that the current backdrop actually provides an opening for a more honest conversation about what this could look like here in Ontario to make it work more efficiently and more robustly, so we're not as vulnerable to attacks like these.